the intro for Truth, and
Okay.
you jump on.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
If he were to punch you in the face, you would have to fight off the strong urge to thank him. Sharks have a week dedicated to him. He has amassed an incredibly large DVD library, and it is said that he never once alphabetized it. If he were to mail a letter without postage, it would still get there. When it is written, thinking about something sad. The pheromones he secretes have been known to affect people miles away in a slight but measurable way. He once punched a magician. That's right. You heard me. His blood smells like cologne. His hands feel like rich brown suede. He is the most interesting man in the world.
Well, yeah, it's true. He is a whore. Yeah. Whoa! Welcome to the Maggot Show. Yes, a new surprise one to smack you in the face. Okay, well, I haven't prepared for this one for a change. I mean, I never prepare for them. So I'm just loading up stuff now, actually. But I've got a few interesting articles already. I was just like, by complete coincidence, I happened to be reading the news today. You know, it's something that weird people do. Because most people don't seem to take much notice of it unless it's sport. But anyhow, BBC article: World Trade Center rising from the ashes of Ground Zero, and that's an actual fact. You know, it's like all mystical. It's a sort of like strong lead to the article. As ceremonies take place around the world to remember victims of the 9/11 attacks, around 2,000 workers are building a huge development at Ground Zero in New York. It's funny.
Can I jump in for seconds? This guy, he says Jeremiah is not Jesus. Okay. Do you remember what Jesus said about buying a sword? If you don't have a sword,
swords into plowshares. Get rid of your swords and take them to the blacksmith or whatever, and he'll make them into plowshares or something like that, something along those lines. Yeah.
No. He's I forget the verse of it. I got a lot of stuff going on in the studio right now. Actually, let me find that verse. I'll come back and I can tell this guy. So what do you suggest? Somebody going to kick into your house while they're raping your wife and shooting your kids in the head? What are you gonna? You gonna reach over and give them a little reach around too, or something? Huh? No, that's deceit from the devil, man. That is trickery from the devil. In the Bible, you got countless where demigods jumped in. These Anunnaki, falling angels. You want to call them falling angels? They're pretty much not falling angels. They actually just came over angels, and they're bad guys. And a lot of times in the Bible, when it looks like God is being really bipolar, it's actually these things talking. So let's not get too warped about it. Jesus don't want you to roll over and be raped by these people, sir. So besides, I'm not here to fight them. I play the role as Jeremiah when he did it. I'm warning them about their actions and let them know that Babylon, which is the people, will be coming to get them if they don't stop. Go back to you, Maggot. I'll be back in a little bit.
Okay. Fine. As ceremonies take place around the world to remember victims of the 9/11 attacks, around 2,000 workers building a huge development at Ground Zero in New York. Yeah, I was saying, it's funny how that phrase at Ground Zero has sprung up in songs and stuff. Well, Ground Zero Brooklyn was, I think, the name of a song by a band called Carnivore. And the lead singer for that band died recently of a drug overdose. Really recently, allegedly, and yet the band hasn't even announced what they're doing since. You know, it was like a few months ago. It was all quite convenient. Yeah, so it's funny that they put those phrases in. You know, it's like, we inserted it into the mod and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, even though the mod's in the UK, mod is the Ministry of Defence, in anticipation of a potential nuclear blast, so that people would have the correct jargon, you know, to use in this state of shock that they'd be in. I was like, right, okay, so that is basically an information leak, you know. Work at the 17-acre site has been delayed by disputes over whether the essence of the building should be commercial or commemorative. Finally, there has been a compromise with a mix of both retail, office and memorial space known as One World Trade Center. Oh yeah. The responsibility for the site is divided between the governors of the states of New York and New Jersey, who own the land, through the Port Authority, and Larry A. Silverstein, the leaseholder who holds the right to redevelop the office space. Oh, that's nice. And he had that convenient thing where he just got his money back, his insurance money back from the it just arrived in time, sort of thing. You know, just about to expire. And he just managed to get it through all the court case, and it's like complete luck. I mean, according to Eustace Mullins, buildings were pulled because, or demolished or whatever, because the health and safety violations, they were just like atrocious, and then I don't reckon they just let them drop because it's less hassle than having to build all the protective scaffold around them and damn the people that die of pollution, and the buildings are empty anyway, and they just CG'd in people when you sold footage. Because you see all the stock footage of like you see like a door or something with people going in and out of it, but it's so, the camera angle's so close up, and there's no actual dating either on any of the cameras, on any of the camera footage. So you've always got to be suspicious of that, and there isn't a little ticker tape thing on the bottom. Tower 1, the centerpiece, formerly known as Freedom Tower. Oh yeah, they're not mocking you at all. And now known as One World Trade Center. Its planned height is 1776, yes, 1776 feet, 540 meters. Yeah, that's the probably know that one off by heart. That's the I think that's the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati when they founded, Albert Pike and all that. And I thought it was Declaration of Independence or something. I don't know. It's important anyway. 1776, echoing the date of the founding of the Republic. There you go. It will be America's tallest building. Yeah, it's just coincidence that they always use that number, and then they can use that excuse in public. You know, so we're making it as a tribute to the founding of the Republic. That's what's presented to the actual the public, and then it really is because it's the founding of the Bavarian Order of the Illuminati. Basically, you're like, you know, archetypal Illuminati. It will be America's tallest building, housing offices, an observation deck, restaurants, and broadcast facilities. The project architect is David Childs of Skidmore. He crossed out the word Roth in front of that. Owings and Merrill. Estimated completion date is 2013. Tower 2, also known as 200 Greenwich Street, at 79 stories high with a diamond-shaped top and an 80-foot antenna. It will be the second tallest skyscraper in NYC. Tower 3, also known as 175 Greenwich Street. Oh yeah. It will be the third tallest building on the site and includes shops, offices, trading floors. It's scheduled for completion in 2014. Well, they probably wouldn't need such concentration of business anyway. You know, like all the businesses they had in the World Trade Center originally. So it's all really convenient that they got this like small sort of like leisure orientated almost, and you know, more facilities for everybody in this thing. It's such a massive stroke of luck. Tower 4. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and the City of New York will take 2/3 of the office space at 150 Greenwich Street. It is due for completion in 2013. Towers 3 and 4 were designed by architect Richard Rogers and Fumihiko Maki. Tower 5, 130 Liberty Street, will stand on the site currently occupied by the remains of the Deutsche Bank building, which was badly damaged by the 9/11 attacks. You gotta send them your money. They need it. New York University has expressed an interest in leasing the building. Plans for Tower 6 were abandoned. Tower 7, or 7 World Trade Center, opened in May 2006 and is 2/3 leased. It includes a park and central plaza with 30-foot wide fountain. Tenants include its owner, Silverstein Properties, and Moody's Corporation, West LB, and Mary Prize Financial, Dutch Bank ABN AMRO, and Mansueto Ventures. Yes, it's all that's Monsanto. Publisher of... Yeah, if you turn the E upside down and swap it around with the E. Publisher of Fast Company and Incorporated magazines. The National September 11 Memorial and Museum comprises a museum, waterfalls, and a park. The museum is being constructed underground and will boast interactive displays explaining the 9/11 and 1993 terrorist attacks, as well as the part of the huge slurry wall that held back the Hudson River during the attacks. Okay. At the Twin Towers, know anything about the Hudson River and be involved with it, whatever. At the Twin Towers, there will be 2 massive waterfalls over illuminated pools. Names of the 9/11 victims and those of the February 1993 World Trade Center attacks. So I think anybody got killed in those ones. In the 1993 one, will be inscribed around the edge of the memorial, called Reflecting Absence, and designed by architect Michael Arad and landscape architect Peter Walker. The 1,000-seat Performance Arts Centre, to be designed by Frank Gary, will be home to the Joyce Theatre, which specialises in modern dance. Film festivals will also be held there. The transportation hub will house a state-of-the-art rail terminal featuring retractable 150 feet, 46 metres high wings made of glass and steel. Will let natural light... It should say will allow natural light to pass through to platform 60 foot, 18 metres below street level. It's the end of that one. George Osborne's secret plan to slash sentence benefits. A little bit boring. Okay. We've got sex victims call on Pope to act. Put that on. No, I don't want that one. Amazing, not much information going on really. Prostitute's murder accused attempts suicide. It's a charming, jolly one. Okay, I'll do that one next. One. Okay. Prostitute's murder accused Stephen Griffiths attempts suicide. A man accused of murdering 3 prostitutes attempted suicide for a second time prison. It emerged today. Oh, very exciting. Stephen Griffiths, 40, was treated for superficial wounds at HMP Wakefield, Her Majesty's Prisons, that's HMP, in West Yorkshire, where he is being held on remand, a prison service spokesman said. He was found by prison staff after reportedly slashing his throat with a shard of glass in his cell yesterday morning. Mr. Griffiths, who referred to himself as the Crossbow Cannibal when he appeared before magistrates, is charged with murdering Bradford sex workers Suzanne Blameers, Shelley Armitage and Susan Rashworth. He first attempted suicide in his cell in June when he was reportedly found unconscious on the floor of his cell with a sock tied around his neck. A prison service spokesman said, a prisoner at HMP Wakefield received superficial wounds after cutting himself with glass. He was treated in the healthcare centre of the prison after staff intervened. The criminology student is charged with murdering Ms. Blemire, 36, between May 20th and May 25th, murdering Ms. Rushworth, 43, between June 22nd, 2009, May 25th, and murdering Ms. Armitage, 31, between April 25th and May 25th this year. So, quite busy on May 25th. Ms. Blemire was seen last on May 21st. Ms. Armitage has been missing since April 26, and Ms. Rushworth disappeared on June 22nd last year. Body parts belonging to Miss Blemire's were found in the River Ire in Shipley on May 25th, and tests confirmed that a small piece of human tissue later found in the water belonged to Mrs. Armitage. When he was asked for his name during the first appearance at Bradford Magistrates Court on May 28th, Griffiths replied, "The crossbow cannibal." Griffiths, a psychology graduate undertaking postgraduate research in criminology at Bradford University, was arrested on May 24th at a flat on the edge of Bradford's red light district. Firefighters battle construction site blaze. More than 100 firefighters battled a blaze which broke out at a construction site. This is The Independent, and the article's in The Independent as well. Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service was called to the fire at the timber-framed block of flats on Gershwin Road, Basingstoke, at 6:21 last night. There were fears a 4-storey building could collapse and that the flames could spread to other properties due to prevailing wind conditions. A spokeswoman for Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service said the fire had been brought under control and an investigation into the cause of the blaze was already underway. Crews from Hampshire, Surrey and Berkshire were mobilised, and 16 fire engines, 3 water carriers, 2 aerial ladder platforms and a multi-role vehicles used. Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service Chief Officer John Bonney, who is also president of the Fire Chief Officers Association, warned about the danger of timber frame buildings. He said, "When timber frame buildings catch fire, the actual structure burns. It often leads to total collapse, and that puts the safety of our firefighters at risk. And the potential for fire spread was clearly of major concern at this incident, and shows that the Chief Fire Officers Association is right to be increasingly concerned about the number and severity of fires in timber-framed buildings under construction." Really not that many articles, it's fun to say. Israelis angry at over early clock change to suit worshippers. Oh yeah. Police talks may be back on track for now, but there is only one issue that has really got Israelis talking, and that is the old timely end of summer this weekend, several weeks ahead of everyone else. Israel will put the clocks back by an hour to coincide with the start of Yom Kippur, or Day of Atonement, Judaism's most solemn festival. Secular Israelis are now fighting back against what they say is a nonsensical edict forced on them by a religious minority, trying to make it easier for those who observe the fast on Yom Kippur. Thousands of Israelis have already signed a petition calling on them to ignore the changing of the clocks early tomorrow, the Sunday before Yom Kippur, which starts on 17th of September. Petitioners argue that the abrupt end to summer will cause more road accidents, give parents less playtime with their children, and lead to depression. Good. And as Haaretz, or whatever it's supposed to call it, Haaretz, I think, because it's got a little hyphen in it, points out the fasters gain little by moving the clocks back, because they're obliged to fast for 25 hours in any case. The conventional explanation is that observant Jews can sleep an hour longer in the morning, and so experience 1 hour less of hunger pangs. But that is contemptible gimmickry, the newspaper says. The whole point of the fast is to mortify the soul. The synchronization of the change with Yom Kippur was introduced in 2005 at the behest of religious politicians. But the move means that Israel is weeks out of line with other countries which keep daylight saving time until late October or early November. Politicians are also lending their weight to those in favour of changing the law. Nitzan Horowitz, a member of the left-wing Meretz party, plans to introduce a bill after the Jewish holidays proposing to extend daylight saving hours to the last weekend before 1st of November. It is unfortunate that this year, too, because of religious coercion, and it is impossible to understand the connection between religion and this issue. Daylight saving time will end before autumn begins, Mr. Horowitz said in the Jerusalem Post. But at least one Israeli columnist has had enough. Of all the unresolved issues of Jewish identity bedeviling Israel, this is probably the least important, wrote Anshel Pfeiffer in Haaretz. Israelis who fast on Yom Kippur feel that it makes them psychologically easier to do so if clocks are set back in advance, then indulging them is worth the very minor nuisance of going back to wintertime while still sweltering from a ham sin. A ham sin, yes, a dry wind. Saudi diplomat seeking asylum. My life is in danger. MSNBC. A ranking Saudi diplomat told NBC News that he has asked for political asylum in the United States, saying he fears for his life if he is forced to return to his native country. The diplomat Ali Ahmad Hassan, the first secretary of the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles, has informed U.S. Department of Homeland Security officials that Saudi officials have refused to renew his diplomatic passport and effectively terminated his job after discovering he was gay and was close friends with a Jewish woman. So yeah, he goes to the sanctuary of gays, perhaps, US, I don't know. Prove me wrong and have him killed on his arrival. In a recent letter that he posted on a Saudi website, Seri angrily criticised his country's backwardness, his country's backside, as well as the role of militant imams in Saudi society who have defaced the tolerance of Islam. Perhaps most provocatively of all, he has threatened to expose what he describes as politically embarrassing information about members of the Saudi royal family living in luxury in the US. If he is forced to go back to Saudi Arabia, as Saudi officials demanding, Asseri says he could face political prosecution and even death. My life is in great danger here, and if I go back to Saudi Arabia, they will kill me openly in broad daylight, Asseri said Saturday in an email to NBC. In a recent interview, Asseri and his lawyer said that the Saudi diplomat was questioned by a Department of Homeland Security official in Los Angeles on August 30th after formally applying for asylum on the grounds that he is a member of a particular social group, gays, that would subject him to persecution if he returns to his home country. Fuck off, queer. Officials at DHS in Washington, as well as the Saudi embassy in Washington and the Saudi consulate in Los Angeles, did not respond to comments. To request for comment. Yes. I'm not reading that one. It's not load of rubbish. It's like Christmas, isn't it? September the 11th. There's so many articles on 9/11. Okay. Reverend Jones stops Quran burning. Yes, the Holy Reverend Jones. He's known as a hero for like stopping what he started. That's one headline I've got. So, looks like the only one that's worth looking at. And just looks at some other stuff. Florida pastor calls off Quran burning. This is a CNN article. The pastor of a Florida church says his congregation has decided to call off the burning of the Quran that was to be held on Saturday, the 9th anniversary of the September 11th, 2001 attack on the United States by the Al-Qaeda terror network. Yes, it is. It's true. It's true. We will definitely not burn the Quran, the Reverend Terry Jones said to NBC's Today on Saturday. Not today, not ever. The burning had been planned for 6 p.m. Jones arrived in New York late Friday night and was working to set up a meeting with the imam in charge of the Islamic Center planned near Ground Zero. The planned meeting, Jones had said, helped persuade him to halt the burning. Earlier Friday, Jones gave mixed messages about whether he intends to carry out his plans, which have sparked international controversy and protests in the Muslim world. US military leaders said the event would imperil the lives of troops abroad. President Obama said Friday that the idea that we would burn the sacred texts of someone else's religion is contrary to what this country stands for. He said he hopes Jones preys on it and refrains from doing it. The government has to send a very clear message that burning the Quran would endanger US troops and serve as a major recruiting tool for Al-Qaeda, Obama added. On Saturday, New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly said police met with Jones and planned to keep a close tab on him for his own safety. His safety could be an issue, and we've emphasized that to him last evening. And he seemed to agree. We would like to make sure that he remained safe while he was in the city. Hundreds claim abuse by priests. I've got a headline.
Hey, Maggot.
Yeah.
Maggot, something's wrong with the computer.
Okay.
Wrong with the volume shit going on. I'm gonna do a quick restart on everything and see if that fixes anything. If not, then I'm gonna have to try to figure out if Dave or somebody can get on to find out what happened to the computer. It's separated the volumes. So if someone clicks over instead of I don't know. It's just doing bad. It's doing shit that sucks.
Yeah. It's fine.
So let me do a restart on everything.
All right.
And we'll be back in 3 minutes. Everybody do a restart in 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
Okay. It's fine. Alright, I think we're back on now. Okay, next one is... Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
We're just going to do a couple testing real quick.
Okay.
Hello?
Oops, didn't mean that. Trying to get everybody off. I should actually take them off before I actually press the button. But it's hard because I'm having to call everybody at once. And they get pissed off at me when I take them off. They're like, well, why'd you take me off the list? Well, because you're not there when I call you the next time around. All right, Sam, go ahead, and we are live. Hold on, I got to get the... let me get that up real quick. Because right now we're not being able to have two different sounds from two different sources play through. The station is what's going on. When you're talking and a beep comes in, or if you play the music, you get played through the speakers on the computer, and the music or the beep gets played through the headphones. So somebody was in the computer and they turned off that thing to maybe just cause a distraction, or I don't know exactly why they would turn that feature off. A little weird, but it is off. So let me I got to go over to Facebook just to check this out. Sam, send me over a thingy real quick. Maggot, start talking.
Okay, I'm back. Alright. You can hear me? Okay, I'll start reading an article. Yeah. B vitamins slow brain atrophy in people with memory problems, according to Kurzweil.net article. Daily tablets of certain B vitamins can halve the rate of brain shrinkage in elderly people who suffer from mild memory problems, an Oxford University study has shown. The 2-year randomized clinical trial is the largest... Oh, there it is. To study the effect of B vitamins. Yeah, that's right.
And you can't... Good, we fixed it. All right. This is Maggot's song, by the way, for his show at the 3 o'clock hour.
Yeah, right. Funny sort of 3 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah, the 2-year randomized clinical trial is the largest to study the effect of B vitamins on mild cognitive impairment, and one of the first disease-modifying trials in the Alzheimer's field to show positive results in people. Around 1 in 6 elderly people over the age of 70 has mild cognitive impairment, experiencing problems with memory, language, or other mental functions, but not to a degree that interferes with daily life. Around half of people with mild cognitive impairment will go on to develop dementia, mainly Alzheimer's disease, within 5 years of diagnosis. Certain B vitamins, folic acid, vitamin B6 and vitamin B12 are known to control levels of the amino acid homocysteine in the blood, and high levels of homocysteine are associated with an increased risk of Alzheimer's. So the Oxford team set out to see whether supplements of the B vitamins that lower homocysteine could slow the higher rates of brain shrinkage or atrophy observed in mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's. The study followed 168 volunteers aged 70 or over with mild memory problems, half of whom took high-dose vitamin B tablets for 2 years and the other half a placebo tablet. The researchers assessed disease progression in this group by using MRI scans to measure the brain atrophy rate over a 2-year period. The findings are published in the journal PLOS One. The team found that on average the brains of those taking the folic acid, vitamin B6 and B12 treatment shrank at a rate of 0.76% a year, while those in the placebo group had a mean brain shrinkage rate of 1.08%. People with the highest levels of homocysteine benefited most, showing atrophy rates on treatments that were half of those on placebo. Along with rate of brain shrinkage, the team from the Oxford project to investigate memory and aging, Oxford project to investigate memory and Optima, also monitored cognitive test scores, revealing that those with the slowest rate of shrinkage scored more strongly. The team suggests that since the rate of brain atrophy is known to be more rapid in those with mild cognitive impairment who go on to develop Alzheimer's, it is possible that the vitamin treatment could slow down the development of the disease. Clinical trials to test this should be carried out now, they add. It is our hope that a safe and simple treatment will delay the development of Alzheimer's disease in many people who suffer from mild memory problems. said Professor David Smith of the Development of Pharmacology at Oxford University, a co-leader of the trial. Today, there are about 1.5 million elderly in UK, 5 million in USA, and 14 million in Europe with such memory problems. These are immensely promising results, but we do need to do more trials to conclude whether these people... these particular B vitamins, yes, can slow or prevent development of Alzheimer's. So I wouldn't yet recommend that anyone getting a bit older and beginning to be worried about memory lapses should rush out and buy vitamin B supplements without seeing a doctor, he said. Okay. Oh, this is a Rents article. It might be rubbish though. Growing thought control in Israel. This is the name of the article. Since its 1948 establishment, IDF military censor authority banned or sanitized material potentially damaging to Israel's security. Thereafter, voluntary media government agreements prevailed, all domestic and foreign news organizations abiding by censorship rulings. Some are sensible, like banning reports beneficial to adversaries. Others aren't, by suppressing information the public has a right to know. For example, whatever affects their welfare, and when officials commit crimes. In addition, various Supreme Court decisions limit content suppression to tangible or near certain instances of public endangerment. Of course, interpretations are crucial. Authorities increasingly hard line to get their way. It shows up in prohibited protests, free expression erosion against government policies, a booklet about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because freedom of religion and asylum seeker protection is included. Suppressing non-violent resistance, promoting patriotism over truth, attacking academic freedom, and sanitizing history, amongst other ways. The latter issue addressed in a August 31st Haaretz article editorial headlined, "Educating Towards Indoctrination," saying, "Frequent education ministry school curricular changes share one common denominator, the same kind of crass, shallow patriotism that glosses over any complicated issue, forcing students to swallow the same rote, sanitized version of the multifaceted, paradoxical Israeli story, while silencing all critical thought. History books have been rewritten. Nakba teaching is banned. Netanyahu once calling its use tantamount to spreading propaganda against Israel. Yet for Palestinians it's a defining issue, the catastrophic mass slaughter and theft of their homeland. Not taught in Jewish schools, it was introduced Arab-Israeli ones in 2007 for children aged 8 and 9. In July 2009, Education Minister Gideon Saar's spokesman Yisrael Twaito said, "After studying the matter with education experts, it was decided that the term Nakba should be removed. It is inconceivable that in Israel we would talk about the establishment of the state as a catastrophe." Henceforth, only praise for the Jewish state is allowed. Yet a passage in the offending textbook said the following: "The Arabs called the 1948 war the Nakba, a war catastrophe, loss and humiliation, and the Jews called it the Independence War. Distorting and suppressing truth by Nakba denial doesn't change it. It's a Palestinian Holocaust. 6 months of horrific slaughter, mass atrocities, land theft and displacement, turning historic Palestine land into Israel. It's turning historic Palestine into Israel. It's the same thing. Their crime and its importance never erased from the collective consciousness of new generations who teach it to their children. In today's Israel, even the Oslo Accords have been erased, while Holocaust studies are expanded to strengthen Jewish identity. According to Haaretz, now the school system's main civics textbook will be modified because it states that since its establishment, the State of Israel has engaged in a policy of discrimination against its Arab citizens. In other words, truth and critical thought are anathema in Israeli schools by order of the Netanyahu government's Zvi Zemeret, the Education Ministry Pedagogic Secretariat head. As Minister of Censorship, he intends indoctrination and a patronized version of the past. Patronizing version, yes. Insulting students by denying them real education. The kind Haaretz journalists and editorial writers still offer. But for how long, given disturbing trends covered in earlier articles, assessed through the following links. It's got a bunch of links, whatever. Most recently, on August 21st, an article covered academic freedom under attack and threatened because hardline Israeli extremists favour McCarthyist censorship against free expression. Oh no, McCarthyist. I was thinking of General MacArthur. As a result, anger in academia was aroused. The latest example, reported on August 29 by International Middle East Media Center writer Saeed Banora, headlining Israeli universities condemn witch hunt by right-wing groups, saying, in a joint statement by Israel's largest and most prominent universities, the academic leadership challenged a foreign-funded campaign to undermine academic freedom in the name of Zionism, led by radical Israeli rightists and Christian fundamentalists. A threatening, sinister partnership. University officials condemned this dangerous attempt to create a thought police, targeting professors considered too left-leaning. The Institute for Zionist Strategies demands review of their assigned readings and class content, as well as balancing them with hardliners, saying otherwise pressure will be put on major donors to cease support. To their credit, university authorities refused to accede to extortion or threats backed by scholars, intellectuals and Haaretz editorial writers. Another August 20th effort headlined Protecting Academia, saying a pluralistic democratic society is incompatible with external interference in course curricula of lectures, political views. Censorship has no place in academia, the media, or anywhere in a free society if it's to stay that way. As in America, in Israel it's fast eroding. Historical revisionism in textbooks. Nurit Pellet Elhamnan is an Israeli peace activist, Hebrew University professor.
Maggot, real quick. Sam's show is up next. Samantha don't see the dollar falling. She don't understand nothing about the dollar. We just actually had a little conversation. She said, I don't see the dollar falling. I can use $1 and go out and buy a pack of soap. So I would like somebody to call in during her show here coming up in the next hour and explain the whole dollar situation.
She's got dollars in her eyes. Okay. And one of the founders of the Russell Tribunal on Palestine. She's also a recipient of the Sakharov Prize for Human Rights and Freedom of Speech, awarded annually by the European Parliament to honour individuals or organisations active in the defence of human rights and freedom. Earlier in 2010, her article titled "Legitimation of Massacres in Israeli School History Books" examined reports about massacres in 8 Israeli secondary school history books published between 1998 and 2009. It explained how they legitimised verbally and visually rewriting history to justify the killing of Palestinians as an effective tool to preserve a secure Jewish state with a Jewish majority, as well as prepare Israeli youths to be good soldiers and to justify a repressive occupation. Some textbooks, especially more recent ones, explain massacres as routine battles or successful military operations. Others present them as transgressions or diversions from official plans, but nonetheless legitimated by their positive outcome, benefiting Jews over Arabs. Yet massacres are defined as barbarous wanton murder of usually helpless or unresisting human beings under circumstances of atrocity or cruelty. Israeli history strewn with examples. Worst of all, its so-called War of Independence, but many others also involving cold-blooded murder of innocent civilians. An earlier article covered some of the most egregious accessed through the following link, and it's like link. Stewardmanblogspot.com 2010 6 Flotilla Massacre Historical. That's like with hyphens, and then the little pauses, it's all like you've got to put in like forward slashes. I'll post a link anyway. Probably nobody ever read it. Today they're sanitised and forgotten. Earlier they were wrongly justified as they are today, including decades of extreme oppression, ethnic cleansing, imperial wars, and repeated attacks against non-combatants, ideologically committed for an ethically pure Greater Israel. The Greater Israel, like Great Britain or something. Sounds familiar. The end justifying the means, no matter how barbaric or criminal. For example, the October 1953 Kibbutz massacre, ordered by Ariel Sharon. Oh no, that's really... Never mind. When Israeli forces attacked the Jordanian village northwest of Jerusalem. Ariel is Uriel. It's like one of the angelic things used in certain magic rituals, and then Sharon is Charon, the person who has the boat, takes the Pharaoh's spirits who where was it, Orion, all that sort of stuff, and he's in the Greek myths as well. Using mortars, machine guns, rifles and explosives, they blew up 42 houses, local schools and the mosque, killing every man, woman and child found. In total, 75 non-combatant villagers, slaughtered in cold blood. An atrocity by any standard portrayed as a success that restored the morale and dignity of the army and helped it become a deterring, vigorous force whose long arm can reach the enemy deep in its own territory. The moral: killing is good, slaughter is better, and in great enough numbers, combined with atrocities, best of all. A lesson taught Israeli youth, preparing them to be soldiers. Like all imperial states, Israel specializes in historical revisionism, legitimizing massacres in school texts, transforming the outrageous into liberating heroism. Aligned with the goals of Zionism and with Jewish creed, they became acceptable acts in times of conflicts. Utility is all that matters, justifying the unjustifiable for a greater good. Manipulating young minds to believe it, and Jewish exceptionalism, including the mythology about Israel's War of Independence. Portrayed as outgunned and outnumbered by Arab armies, the truth is mirror opposite. Zionist forces neutralized the Jordanian Maxwells, the strongest regional army, bribing them not to fight with 20% of historic Palestine, the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Oh yeah, I wonder how the Zionists managed to find money. That must have been a real challenge for them. In 1948, on the eve of battle, Jewish forces numbered around 50,000 against a hopelessly outmanned, outgunned, irregular Palestinian force of about 7,000, until May the 15th, 1948, when Israel was established. Other Arab nations deferred, acting blatantly with token forces, proving no match for the superior Israelis. No, I think they're just talking about superior weight of numbers. It was a walkover. 78% of Palestine seized. The Jewish state created. 800,000 Palestinians massacred or displaced. 531 villages and 11 urban neighborhoods destroyed. No quarter given in committing mass murder. Ethnic cleansing. Vast destruction of villages, communities and crops, rapes and other atrocities. Yet Israeli historiography portrays the war as liberating. Loads of women taking off their tops and running around. Oh yeah. Including the myth that Palestinians left voluntarily, fearing harm from invading Arab armies. The same token ones never showing up until it was too late to matter. Ill-equipped, fighting with no commitment. Sounds like gays fighting. Proving no match for superior Israelis, they exited and went home. Well, if they're arguing amongst themselves as well, definitely. Their war's outcome was never in doubt. The fate of Palestinians sealed. Atrocities against them to this day sanitized, including memoricide. Yes, memoricide of the Nakba. They love Icide words ending with Icide. Fortress Israel and revisionist history enforcing it. Another myth as well about the region's only democracy, affording rights solely to Jews, and increasingly less of them. Israel solidifying the same elitist society as in America, assuring most rights to the privileged, eroding ones to ordinary Israelis, becoming more like Arabs on their own and out of luck under hardline governance, no longer caring. Israeli thought control enforces it, including crackdown on dissent, an open, just free society eroding to conceal growing harshness against anyone challenging injustice, including journalists and academics unwilling to support wrong over right, and saying so. As in America, it's now a crime. Okay, article in left.org. Vitamin D may help control asthma. A review of 60 years of studies suggests vitamin D added to an asthma action plan may improve asthma control, US and Canadian researchers find. Lead author Dr. Manbir Sandhu, a Vancouver allergist, and colleagues conducted a review of the research on asthma and vitamin D and found vitamin D deficiency is associated with increased airway hyper-responsiveness. Yes, there's nothing to do with plane flights or anything, or traffic control. Lower lung functions and inferior asthma control. In addition, the researchers say vitamin D deficiency is more common in those who are obese, have African American ethnicity, and are from westernized countries, reflecting a higher risk for population for asthma. There is a possible cause and effect relationship between vitamin D deficiency and uncontrolled asthma, Sandhu says in a statement. Evidence suggests that vitamin D has a number of biologic factors that are important in regulating key mechanisms in asthma. The findings are published in the Annals of Allergy, Asthma and Immunology. I'm just going to post links to the last 2 articles. Which one was BS? You saying what, the long rents one or the Oh yeah. I know. They'll just change their mind. It'll be something else sometime later. It's probably. I mean, it's like whatever. Braveheart saying he's a fat Kunite. He's a fat Eskimo.
This world is on fire.